Okay, so we will go ahead and walk through the calculator stuff. I attached the step-by-step guide last Friday. If you use it, I think you should have done it already. If not, then just make sure that you use your calculator. And if you don't pay attention, I'm not sure where you are going to get your calculator practice. All right, because I do not assume everyone has a TI Nspire at home. So make sure you are not wasting time here. So you have a table of data. Well, if you have the home screen right here, where do we start? The icon with the table. Okay, now if you click the table, if you see some existing data or if you are not seeing 1.1, then go ahead, click the cross just to exit out and then restart it over again so that you don't get interfered by whoever was using it. Okay, so. Okay. Now, yes.
Can I get the paper with some here?
All right, so now the first thing that you should do is this. You should go ahead and label your columns right here. Your column A, let's just call it X, and column B, let's just call it Y. If you do not label them, you are going to encounter some difficulty later on. Okay? So now, based on my experience so far, I will tell you this. Usually people ask me questions is because they somehow did not pay attention to what I'm doing. All right, now we'll go ahead and enter our data. Okay, so on example number 1, we have 0, 500, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, and then 2,500, and then 3,000. Okay, and then you have 28, 23, 18, 13, 8, 3, and -2. Now, some people, they enter the last value without pressing the enter, and they move on to the next step. That is going to cause a problem. So after you type in -2, make sure you press enter. Okay, so that you actually input your value into the spreadsheet. Okay, so make sure you have all the values typed into your data table. I'll give you a few seconds to do it. Okay. The next thing that we are going to do is to have to see a scatter plot. To see a scatter plot based on these values. So what do we do? After you have all these data input it right here. And then again, make sure you press enter for the last data point. You go to home. So the icon that would give you the scatter plot is your bar chart, the bar chart icon right here. Okay. So once you click it, you will see something like this. That's not your scatter plot yet. Because at this point, your calculator is like, I get some points, but I have no idea what you're talking about. So you would go to click to add variable. Okay, so so it sets, hey, you want to set the horizontal axis as X or Y? And we say, well, please go ahead, put the X values as our horizontal axis. Okay, and then the Y will be here. So you can see a very nice plot, okay? Now, it doesn't show you the equation, so you want the calculator to show you the equation. So how do you communicate with the calculator and say, please, show me the equation? Well, you always go to the menu. And the way you talk to the calculator to show you the equation is to analyze. And we're doing regression, okay? We're doing regression. So regression right here. And then it's a linear, right? So mx plus b. And therefore, you have this equation. All right. The linear with mx plus b. The two options, the second one called a plus bx is the same thing. It just shows you the y-intercept first and then the slope times the x. All right. So that's the equation you put in for part A. All right, that's the equation you put in for part A. Yes. No, you make the chart, you go to menu. Go to menu, you analyze, and then you do regression. Do what? Just the calculator, yeah. I mean, your work would be your calculator work. Okay, so does anyone have any problem with the way to get to this point? Okay, now if you're good, then we're gonna do some calculations with this equation on the calculator, okay, without actually doing the calculation by hand. So go back home, okay. Well, that scatter plot is good, but it doesn't really help us to do a lot of stuff. So we'll go to add graph right here. We want to plot the actual graph. So the equation that you wrote, go ahead, type it back in here. Okay. And after you do that, you will not see the graph. After you type in the equation, you will not see the graph. So what do you do? Now you have two options. Well, it's about your windows because the graph is there. You just can't see it with the window. So one way is that you hope the calculator knows what you want, knows what you want. So you go to option A, which is zoom fit. So they give you a graph like this. It works, but let's go ahead. Let's stick with this for now. Okay. So for part B, it says based on the equation from part A, what will the temperature be when it is at 5,000 meters? So 5,000 is your what value? Your X or the Y value? 5,000 is your X value. So now, what would you do when you know your X value? You go to menu. If you know your X value, that means you're basically tracing your graph. You trace, and you do graph trace. You see the screen? Just type in 5,000 and press enter. At the right bottom of the screen, you will see the coordinate 5,000, comma, -22. So that means your Y value, your temperature, will be at -22 degrees Celsius. Okay, so that's how you use the trace function to find the X value. Well, if you know the X value and you want to find the Y value, that's what you do. You use the trace. The trace function is very helpful in this case. You go to menu, trace. trace, graph trace, and then type in the value. Type in the X value. Type in the 5,000. Type it in.
Oh, just right.
All right, so now, what about the next question? It says, what is the altitude when the temperature reaches the freezing point of water? Well, the freezing point of water would be your Y value, Y is 0, 0. But as of now, the graph is kind of hard to see the Y value. So we will go to Windows, Windows setting, actually. Windows setting right here. And then we're going to adjust our minimum and maximum values for X and Y. Our X minimum, let's go back to 0, okay? We want to see all the way back to X equal to 0. And then, oops, hold on. Why is this happening? That's strange. All right, now Y minimum is fine, but our Y maximum should be a lot higher. Our Y intercept is 28, right? So let's just go a little bit above 28. Let's just say 30. And then press enter. So that's how I have our graph. So again, let me show you the Windows setting right here. So for Windows settings, so X minimum is 0, X max is 5,000, Y minimum is -22, Y max is 30. Sometimes you just have to take different trials to get it right, get a good view, but making sense of the data would also help. We're trying to find what altitude, what X value when the temperature is at 0. So basically, we're asking for the X-intercept. How does the calculator help you find the X-intercept? Menu. So you're asking the calculator to analyze the graph for you. So to find the X-intercept, you're asking the calculator to find the 0 for you. So 0. So now is that lower bound. So make sure you put your pointer to the left of the intersection and press the keypad in the middle. And then it then asks you for the upper bound. So you scroll your pointer to the right so to make sure that the highlighted region includes the X-intercept. And then you press enter again, or not enter, the center of the keypad. Then you have 2.8 times 10 to the third power, which is 2,800. Okay, so that's how you find the X-intercept, is to use the menu, analyze graph, 0. Okay, that's how you find out the X-intercept.